Hey man, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. Yourself?
Not too bad. Well, I'm okay. I got into a car accident recently, but
Oh,
minor thing, but nothing crazy. Yeah,
is that why
everybody's
you look
fine.
so distraught?
Yeah, no, it's a small little thing, but not a big deal. It just reminded me because you've had your share of car accidents
Just
and stuff
two.
that you've shared, so I thought
Li-
I'd share mine on here as well, but
ju- yeah,
nothing
just like
crazy.
two within the first 2 years, I think. Just a small little fender bender, and
Hmm.
then T-boned, and which I drove
That's
that
right,
car for
yeah.
another what, two
Well,
years after that.
I was talking about the tree that crushed your
Oh, right
vehicle
in
as
the
well.
tree.
But
That I
yes,
wasn't in the
yeah,
car, so that's not really a car accident. It's just
sure.
God said,
Unfortunate
"Screw you."
situation. Yeah, unfortunate situation with your car.
Yeah.
And yeah, speaking of God, welcome back everybody to Bite My Shiny Metal Cast. Yeah, episode 8 of season 4, Godfellas. Yeah, please like and subscribe if you like hearing and talking about things all Futurama. So, opening caption, please turn off all cell phones and tricorders. So, are you ready
It's a
for this?
tricorder.
Well, I was just gonna say that my headcanon for this. This is what. Remember we were talking last week about how like they had like the mailboxes on the street or whatever because Bender pretended to put his foot in to like get sympathy and everything and get himself famous. Do you
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that we mentioned that Hermes, like they have like that email, that holographic email thing. It's not really email, it's like a phone call thing, but they show up. But then Hermes could be taken by the bird. I'm gonna say the machine that makes these little projections, we'll call them. I'm going to call it a tricorder. So I'm thinking this is what the tricorder does.
Well, a
And
quick
yeah.
Google search says that it's from Star Trek. It's a fictional handheld device from Star Trek that can scan,
Oh,
record, and analyze data.
okay.
So it's like
Scan
a
and record. Okay.
it's a recorder, but it does scanning, recording, and analyzing.
Okay. So it's not a Futurama invention. It's a Star
No,
Trek invention.
yeah,
Okay. Well,
usually some little those they always have some little like niche reference to
sure.
something, but I like yours
Well,
better.
sure. Well, it's also don't forget we will have at the end of this season we will have the Star Trek one, right? So maybe
Yeah.
that's a little Easter egg towards that or allusion to that. But in any case, we open on I guess the trio, and they're beginning their delivery because we see that they're leaving Earth, and this one, of course, I think Bender's just trying to take a nap and everything, so we just have Leela and Fry in the cockpit just doing their thing. Leela's all, quite content. She's like humming along to whatever, but as she's doing so, they get attacked right in the middle of space. And wouldn't you know it, it's the first instance I think we've ever seen of space pirates, right? Because we do have the mafia, the robot mafia has done stuff in space, but they're not considered the pirates. But these guys
No,
are,
like
you're a big
actually
fan,
shiver me timbers
Shiver Me
pirates.
Timbers, like Long John Silver type of pirates, right?
Yar.
What I was just going to say as well, because you probably, I'm sure you like the episode, but you like this scene because I think it reminds you of what is that? A Treasure Planet, right? Which is obviously a
Love Treasure
futuristic version of
Planet. Yeah.
yeah, Treasure Island. So yeah, it's kind of like. Do you want to explain a little bit about this scene? What's going on in this scene here?
Well,
They've
just
got two
basically, there's two
ships. Yeah,
ships. They have like those like cannons that come out like old style, like
yeah.
pirateer. I don't know what to call that time. 1700s like cannons and stuff like that, which I find hilarious.
Hmm.
And so there's just kind of a little battle go along here, but it's also firing at a spaceship which is made out of metal, which so it's just dinging it. So it's like
That's
picture
right.
hail damage for your car, but like
Massive. Yeah, the
yeah,
size of a
massive.
bowling ball. Yeah.
And
That's right.
I think
Yep.
I think my favorite thing here is that the pirate has three eyes, but two of them have eye patches. So it's
Yep.
just like okay, and he has three parrots as well
Three
on his
parrots.
shoulders.
Three parrots. Or yeah, two parrots. Yeah, three
And
eyes. Two of them are
legs
covered
as
with the eye
well. He has
patch.
four legs. Three of them are peg legs, but only two arms.
We
And
have
no hooks.
and we see no other crew. It's just him. Like even like there's two ships and he seems to be commandeering both of them or commanding both of them. So, and I believe he's Phil Lamar, right? No, not Phil Lamar. Maurice LaMarche. I believe this is Maurice
Probably.
LaMarche. Yeah,
He usually kind of always does the monstery type of aliens.
sure. Well, he also does the monk. So
The monk was pretty funny. Yeah.
yeah,
Those guys are pretty funny.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
any case,
No. According to IMDb, no special guest this episode. It's just the
nope.
the main
Yep.
voice actors.
Yep. Exactly. So, in any case, these ships are attacking, and so Leela and Fry go to their battle stations to try and fight or whatever, while Bender's trying to take said nap, right? But of course he can't because all the loud noise. So what does Bender do? He decides to go to the, I guess the launching area of the ship, which we've never actually really seen before. But he goes.
No, we haven't. But he does put on earplugs, but he doesn't have ears. So then he
puts on
gets
ears.
a box of ears, put ears on,
That's
and
right.
earplugs in the ears.
What a weird gag, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I love the beginning jokes here. They're probably my favorite.
So if he goes to the torpedo area where they shoot like their missiles and everything, takes out one
in a submarine,
in a submarine, right? Because it's a ship, right? So it's still nautical themed.
Yeah.
So he gets in there and he opens up one of the tubes that house the missile or the torpedo, and he gets into number 3. And for whatever reason, he gets in, he locks himself in because it's quieter. But unbeknownst to him, as Leela and Fry are still battling these ships, they blow up one, or Fry blows up one, I should say, with like the normal gun. But then they need to shoot one torpedo, so they zoom at the last ship that has the captain on it. And Leela demands that Fry fire number 3. Fry complies, fires number 3. They don't know that Bender's in there, and they end up shooting Bender out of the ship at the same speed, in which case they were traveling at. So in space, obviously, there's no gravity and all this stuff, so inertia takes over.
No friction.
No friction. Bender just zooms. He's super fast. He's double the speed they're at, basically. He flies through the other ship.
Yeah, I do have if we're talking physics here.
Yeah, go for it.
He does go through a ship, and don't you think that him going through the walls or whatever would slow him down quite a bit? Or is he just so perfectly spatiodynamic, or whatever the word for that is?
Aerodynamic?
Well, there's no air in space, Anthony. Whatever. So he just goes through and doesn't slow down. I find that a little hard to believe. But for the purposes of the story, I get it.
I guess you could say maybe he's perfectly positioned for how he was shot, because he's shot like a bullet, right? So there's very little friction. But again, in space,
that's another thing I have a problem with too.
Yeah, there's no air resistance. Yeah.
No, when you shoot a rocket, at least from how they're portraying, like it's coming out of his feet. So is Bender rocket propelled at some point, and we don't know about it? Because it's not like the old rifles where you had to put the gunpowder in and all that stuff, then the bullet, then shoot it out. Bullets have the powder inside the bullet now, right? So just firing Bender out, again, suspension of disbelief, blah blah blah, whatever.
Sure.
But it feels like has rockets on his feet, so it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, or it's like the torpedoes ignite whatever's in there, and then that gets shot out or whatever, right? So Bender has something that ignites him and sends him out. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, so there's a few oddities in this scene. The physics don't really make sense for them to get to this point, which kind of makes it go down a little bit, in my opinion. But
that's fine. It's for the joke.
It's for fun, right? It's the joke of it. But yeah, so whatever the reason, Bender shoots through the other ship. And because he's gone through a certain area of the ship or whatever, it kind of just blows up. So the pirates are gone. The pirates are like a very small portion of this episode. They're not even really the focus. But Bender is gone, and he's carrying like a bunch of stuff with him.
Yeah,
pulled it from the ship.
As he gets shot through the ship, he has a bag that says swag on it, a bag of swag.
Yeah. And there's a whole bunch of swag in it, watches and gold and candlestick.
As the pirate ship is starting to explode, the pirate goes, too little did I realize that me family will be true treasure. And then kaboom. I just like this little sequence here. It's very funny.
Mm-hmm. So the other two were desperate to try and get Bender back, but they can't catch up to him due to the fact of him going faster than them, and they can't speed up anymore because space. So they follow some logic of the physics of space, but not all of them. To which, as he's flying through, Bender, he's
can't
trying
do that. You can't use fantasy rules and then use actual science rules and then go, these work. It's like if you're gonna be
can in a cartoon,
nonsense,
I guess, but
you got to continue to be nonsense. Is all I'm saying.
Sure. And you know what? To be fair, in this episode, they do continue to be so, because as Bender is trying to slow down, right? He's like, oh, I gotta lose momentum, so he starts like throwing things off. Maybe this kind of works because he's kind of like pushing. What is that called? The Newton's laws of physics, right? Like the opposite effect of something, right? So he throws something off.
He's throwing stuff away from him in front of him to slow him down, which I think they have proven that does actually work.
Kind of works or whatever. And then he has like a saucer, like a plate, so he throws it like this, and that's why he spins.
A frisbee. Yeah.
But then of course that kind of makes him slow down, but it's too little, too late. Unfortunately, they're way too far. So Bender is flying through space, and of course space is vast and lifeless.
I do like the backgrounds here.
So, yeah, it's beautiful.
What's it called? it's an old effect that if you watch the beginning of Bambi, it's called multiplaning. So
Yep.
back in the day, they had like a giant
these machines that would do that. I actually know, I do know
yeah,
this.
it was
'Cause I
like
studied this.
it's like 10 feet tall or something like that. And
Yeah.
each one would have like a layer of drawing and stuff like that.
Yes.
And the
Yeah. Makes it
camera
look
would be
more
positioned
3D.
above,
Yeah.
looking straight down.
Yep.
And you can move things at different rate. Like when say you're driving with a friend or whatever, or your parents or whatever, and you're not driving but you're in the back seat, you're looking outside. The horizon moves a lot slower than the telephone poles or hydro poles right by you, right? So you're still moving the same speed, but farther away you are, look, the slower that seems to be going. So that's what the multiplaning was. And I love that stuff that they do here with space, because obviously space is vast and multiple.
Yeah.
There's lots of stars moving at different rates and stuff like that. So props to the background animation guy,
Designers,
because
yeah,
I've had to do something like this too, with just in general stuff, like I worked on Tom and Jerry, like Tom running past fence posts and stuff like that in the background. It's hard to make it like not weird looking, because sometimes you can have things moving way too slow, but then the midground is moving very fast. Like,
I think
it's hard.
I remember seeing like the reason that they had made that multiplaning camera is because it gave the effect when you're walking somewhere, the sun or the moon is massive, but they didn't, like, that's not that's not realistic,
No.
right? So they needed to have that at a distance, and it doesn't move with the rest of it, because the moon doesn't move with you either, right? It's supposed to stay in one place, but
it's an anchor point.
So that was actually a really good use of it's genius, right? That was Disney way back when, right?
Disney
that was Walt
invented
Disney
that,
and his like
Walt
when
Disney.
he was still alive doing it. It was genius.
Yeah,
and
it was
made,
expensive too. It was expensive from what I
and it
understand.
made it
and
look
like
so much more theatrical too.
Well, and here's the thing that really is cool, because if you there's like, we'll say there's 10 layers. I'm pretty sure there's like, I don't know, a lot of layers. There's a lot of layers.
I think the original had like 6 or something, but
originally I think they had like 3 or something like that.
Sure.
The character layer, the background, and then the far background,
Right.
like the sun or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And if you screwed up one of those 10, you'd have to go back and reshoot it, which was so time consuming, because I think you literally had like a team of like 15 people on this to move things and stuff. So if one person screwed up,
and
and
somebody
they
had
had
the
notches,
camera,
right?
and
Yeah.
So
So it's like
it was
a lot of freaking work.
itself,
And
for sure.
nowadays, one person can do that with like Flash or something like that, which I have done for my little animation show, which is in space. It's a lot.
It is a lot, but it is a lot of good work to see that, right? And you can appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
But so as we continue on here, Bender, and as Bender continues down, or through, I should say, through space, he accidentally gets hit by a bunch of asteroids, and these asteroids are, not very big or whatever, don't really hurt him much, but they go through.
I do like that joke.
One goes through his head, yeah.
Oh no, I'm going through an asteroid field. If one of these is supposed to go right through my brain, ow, would hurt slightly.
Hurts a little. Yeah. But one particular piece of the asteroid field sticks to him. And it just kind of hangs there, no real attention on there, as he kind of leaves the asteroid area. And as he does, he notices, or he hears, that a bunch of little voices or whatever kind of come up, and they start, talking to him. And these are little people that make a society. I think they just call themselves the Shrimpkins. Right? Small shrimp, right? Whatever. Easy name to remember.
Pumpkin and shrimp put together.
Right. And they treat him like God, hence the name Godfellas. So these life forms, they look kind of like people, I guess. They're kind of like, elvish,
but they're like
elvish fantasy-esque, whatever. But they're tiny, tiny, tiny. And they call him the Metal Lord, which, Bender is fine with, right? He's, Bender loves to be worshipped. He loves to be known for something, right?
That's from the last episode. Yeah. Remember me.
Right. Yeah. Remember me. And, well, they're not going to remember him, but we'll get to that when the time comes. In any case, Bender chooses one of them to be his, like, quote unquote prophet, right? It's a very religious allegory here, a guy named Malachi, who I believe is also played by Billy West, if I'm not mistaken.
No, Maurice LaMarche, according to IMDb.
Is this Maurice LaMarche? Is Malachi?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. So Malachi there, and he explains that they're a simple and poor society. So Bender's a little disappointed, but they're a simple society. They don't have technology. They're very much in like the olden, we'll say like the 1500s, 1600s type era or whatever.
Picture Hutterites, or what's the American one? Amish.
The Amish, sure.
Yeah, like that kind of level of technology.
Yeah, very, very simplistic farming.
Farm,
all
small
whatever.
Village.
And actually, one thing to even mention it, because as we go through the episode, it's interesting because as Bender is continuously being the god of these people, you see the different time times of like what they're alluding to with all these things. So I'll get to it when I get to it. But and anyway, Bender picks up Malachi to be his prophet, and he says, "Okay, I have one commandment." God needs booze. And so any case, because of course Bender, for one reason, Bender likes to drink, but the second thing is obviously he's a robot. He needs the alcohol to, continue functioning, right? So
which is such a fun thing. I love that they did for
yeah,
Futurama.
I love that too. I love that alcohol is their thing, right? That's really good.
Technically it is a type of combustion if you were to use it that way, but I don't know how efficient it is compared to gasoline or whatever, or diesel.
Not at all. Not at all. But I'm sure that's why. Well, because it's not just alcohol that robots can use, right, in the Futurama universe. Because remember, when Bender becomes good, well, there's the whale oil in the future, but there's also, he says, mineral oil or something. And he says, I'll just stick with good old mineral oil. Like he can drink that and not be an alcoholic, but he prefers to drink the beer. So meanwhile, Fry and Leela have returned back to Earth because obviously they lost Bender in space. So Fry asks the professor, and the professor's using the smelloscope to search for Bender. No use. Bender's smell is too mild, right, for what the smelloscope can pick up. And Hermes and Amy show up to try and cheer Fry up because it seems hopeless. And they bring in another robot named Helper, who's just kind of an ass.
Well, I love it because he's literally picture Bender, but instead of like circular, square kind of thing.
And he has like an upbeat attitude kind of thing. I think this is Phil Lamar, if I'm not mistaken. But whatever the case, Helper is just like, hey, do you want a lollipop? Here you go. Do you want to go to an amusement park? He's like, yeah, okay. He's like, oh, have fun.
Have fun. Yeah, I'm not going with
you. I heard your friend Bender's back. And he's like, oh, really? He's like, no, I just thought you might enjoy that for a bit. And so he's just kind of the worst person, trying to make you happy for those 2 seconds because he's helping, right, quote unquote. So we return back to Bender, and the Shrimpkins have created his brewery, right? And Bender seems to enjoy it. He seems to be very good. Yeah, the whole process has gone well for him. Like he's enjoyed the taste or whatever it is, and he says, "Oh yeah, these guys have done all right." So he picks up Malachi, right, to say thanks and all this kind of stuff, but notices that Malachi is missing an arm now. So he finds out, the brewery has inspired not only just like the designing of it, but it's made pollution, mutilation, hence what happened to Malachi, death, and organized crime, due to all the things that alcohol usually brings about whenever it's made or used in certain areas. So Bender having them make this brewery has basically begun the industrial age of their society, which is, it's interesting to see this, right? Because, if you're watching it when you're younger, you don't really notice it. It's just like, oh, okay, this is what happened. But it is actually going through times. And we see this as it's going on because Bender's been doing this for however long the episode lasts in their time. I think like at least a week or something. But
yeah, Fry was looking for him for a few days at the monastery. I think they said something like that.
So yeah. So that's at least 3 days, and then that was even after what happened with the society, right?
Yeah, so it took them a while to find the monastery and stuff
to
get there. So probably a weekish, 2 weekish.
Yeah, take about a bit of time, right? So, any case, he goes through and he finds out all this stuff, and he's like, this is horrible, and he's a little sad. So Malachi explains, like, well, this is what happens when we do these kinds of things. So Bender's a little, teary, because he's also very dramatic, very emotional, despite being a robot. A tear? I'm gonna say it's washer fluid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's washer fluid.
Yeah. He's a robot.
Yeah. So there's amount of washer fluid tear goes up, and of course, because he's massive compared to them, it falls onto their land and it creates this tidal wave and this flood and rapids that basically engulf the entire area that it hits.
Like the flood of God.
Areas. Yes, exactly. It's another religious allegory, right? And so one of these areas that it's hit is Malachi's home, where his family lives, and his son Malachi Jr. gets swept up in the rapids. Malachi
oh crap. Lauren Tom. Lauren Tom plays Malachi Jr.
Right.
I thought it was Katie Sochi.
Sure. But it's Lauren Tom. Interesting.
Yeah.
So Malachi prays to Bender or the Metal Lord to save his son. Bender's like, oh, whoops, I did that, so I'm going to do that. Sounds like a job for God. He picks him up, puts him and saves him. This causes everyone who saw this to be like, oh, God can intervene. And so they'll start praying for different things. Now, Bender again asks Malachi what's going on, and he says, well, they're all asking for their own miracles. Some of them want this, some of them want this. You have to decide whether or not you want to do this. Yeah. So Bender says, okay, well, what do they want? Wealth, sunlight, whatever. So for wealth, Bender throws them a coin.
Flips a coin, it crushes them.
Crushes them. Okay, two things. Sorry, I just want to say two things here. One, I love the irony of this situation. I think this is hilarious because obviously he's giving them wealth, but the wealth literally crushes them, right? Crushes their society. So that's like one message. But also it has Snoop Dogg. I'm pretty sure
was that Snoop Dogg?
I'm pretty sure it's Snoop Dogg because in
there's
the
a
future
black guy
Snoop
on the
Dogg
coin
is
with like crazy dreadlocks.
dreads. I'm almost positive it's Snoop Dogg because he also shows up later and he looks very much like that, like the icon itself
I
on the
don't
coin.
remember what the guy's name was, but a Weird Al Yankovic, when he was getting a Grammy or something like that years and years ago, he had that same hairstyle right next to the actual artist who was like known for that hairstyle. I don't think it's Snoop Dogg. I could be wrong though.
Snoop? I'm pretty sure it was Snoop, just because he seems to be so popular within the within the Futurama
universe.
universe.
He's in a few episodes and actually cameoed in a few too.
Yeah, he actually voices it. Yeah. He gives them the coin, which crushes them, and then they have the sunlight, and so they want
for the crops to grow
and
more
the barley
for his booze.
For his booze, right? So Bender's obviously like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. So he, bends back, gets his visor, gets to reflect some starlight, some sunlight onto the field to give them more light. But, like one would have like with a magnifying glass on anthill, it singes the whole thing and causes a massive inferno and burns up everything, including the people, the farmers who are working there. Bender tries to blow it out, but ends up blowing them off off his body and basically off their planet.
I do have a question about this.
Yeah, go for it.
So again, this is one of those things you just got a suspension of disbelief just because. So Bender's out in space, but technically, because all these people are on him, he has some sort of gravity. So all these people stick to him, like through gravity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also, he has wind power, which he doesn't breathe air, for one thing. So where is he getting the oxygen or CO2 or anything like that, or any kind of gas?
All right, I like a challenge. Let me see.
Yeah.
So. The gravity.
We can obviously say that like the oxygen just comes from the plants because it is a little thing of rock that has a village and fields and stuff like that. But how self-contained
why is he making it as well, right? So the first thing I would say, so let's talk about the gravity first. First of all, I don't think it's gravity that's at first holding these guys. I think they're small enough that they are attracted to his gravity, whatever gravity he's making, because he's the largest thing there. But at first, I think it was just the asteroid pieces that had them on there stuck to him. And
true.
And it just
but the thing
there.
is, when they jump, like Malachi Jr., whenever he's practicing hugging his his daddy, which is his like one key characteristic.
One key feature. Yeah.
Just I don't know. It's just something fun to think about. Just kind of like. So as we've established, shouldn't he be slowing down and stuff like that? Shut out?
So. Okay, and there's also a thing like we were just talking about. What about time? How does time dilation and everything work on here? So because they're also smaller and things could be faster for them in terms of their relativity, they could be. I mean, it could be spanning thousands of years, or no, not thousands because they would die. Like we'll say dozens of. No, because Malachi Jr. doesn't age. Never mind.
Yeah, see,
boom. Then it gets
so the other thing,
though, the air thing is exhaust because robots will create exhaust. But, that's what that.
Have we seen Crimes of the Heart yet?
No, but that's what I'm talking about. So
but as with that, if we're doing continuity as a thing, it comes out his butt.
That's where he made it happen. I think it can be out of.
Right. Yeah. All right. I remember now. The professors, when he was making robots for Mom, do robots always burp? It's not always a burp.
So it could be a bunch of things. But in any case, Bender can also do a bunch of different things all the time. So.
Yeah, whatever the story calls for and stuff like that, because there's like a volume control on him sometimes when he's turning up his snoring or turning down his hearing,
and sometimes it can control the TV.
Yeah, sometimes yeah.
Bender is just kind of he is the whatever you need to do machine. He is the machine to do it, and he's also a character, so it works out that way.
He's part. His aunt was a tractor, so he can tug things or something like that.
His grandmother was a bulldozer or something. Yeah. Who we actually
I always love that.
One of his grandmothers later, but in any case, yeah, in the Hulu run, right? Abuela, yeah.
Oh, right.
She's the crane or whatever, yeah, because that's his mother's mother, I think it is. So yeah,
right.
So in any case, on the other side, right, we have Fry still continuing looking for Bender.
Reminisce about his Bender.
Really missing Bender. This is also where we get a photo of Napoleon Bender, like the picture on there. I don't think have we seen Bender be Napoleon yet?
Je suis Napoleon.
That was just in the yeah, with the penguins, right?
Yeah, he dressed up as that when he was the captain. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a captain thing or because he does do that at one
Mhm.
point.
He does kind of become Napoleon in that episode, but in any case, yeah.
Okay. He says the Je suis Napoleon in the crazy episode where they go to the robot insane asylum.
Right. And he
So
has the
I think
hat.
he had the hat
Right.
for that one.
Okay, there
So
you go. So it's kind of a Easter egg for that, I think. Any case, yes, Bender or Fry is missing him, so he's like, okay, I got to figure out how to get Bender. Where do I find him? How do I do this? And he's going to try something desperate and crazy. First thing he does is go to the Amalgamation Church, and this church has been kind of talked about in the past, but it's basically every single religion, including atheism, like
yeah.
no religion,
What was
mixed
it?
together.
I think one of my favorite phrases from this religion. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the second movie where the priest goes, "Here we are before one god or
One
more
or
or
more
fewer."
gods or fewer.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
yeah. Which I'm just like,
Yes.
you know what?
Why
I
not just
honestly
do
would
that?
love to
Yeah.
have this in the future, but the thing is, I know that religions don't like each other based on principles and stuff like that. So it
Yeah.
obviously wouldn't happen unless someone makes it. Anthony, you want to make it?
Right. Make the amalgamation church and just steal everything and just have everybody hate us. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Yeah, for
just
sure.
you and me getting in trouble.
Yep. So the amalgamation church, I'm gonna call him the priest for for a lack of better title because I actually don't remember. I think he calls him like like he mixes all of them up, like it's like
Yeah,
Hindi
Father
and
Changstein El
Catholicism.
Galamal.
Well, there you go. And
I think it's just because like he has an Asian name, a Jewish
yeah,
name,
he's called
probably a
Father.
Middle Eastern
Yeah.
name, and Gamal. What does Gamal sound like?
Oh, that would be Eastern name or Middle Eastern
Yeah,
name of some
yeah.
sort as well. Yeah.
So
So
it's insulting to every
it's supposed to.
stereotype of religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not supposed to appease anybody. It's supposed to be the amalgamation, right? Everything's mixed. But he does say, oh, like, because Fry asks, like, what can we do to help him or whatever after he explains his story, and the father says, like, or the priest says, whatever. He says, oh, we can sit and pray. And he's like, is there anything useful? And he says, no. So at least he's more, upfront about that
Atheist.
kind of thing. Yeah. So next we get a cameo or return, I should say, of the gypsy bot,
Oh
right?
yeah.
The seer bot
Tress
from
McNeil.
the honking. Yeah, she's back. And so
I love it whenever she's around because it's just very funny. Because is this
the
one where
seer
she goes,
bot?
"Oh
Yeah.
yes, I'm Bonder. Bonder. Oh,
Oh,
wait, Bonder."
that's not Bender's name. His name is Bender. Yeah. So yes, Fry tries to get some quote unquote false hope from her to see if like she can channel him or something because, gypsy bot. But unfortunately, nothing comes from it. So as Fry is about to leave, she does say the one thing that he could try is up in the Himalayan mountains are a set of monks called the monks of Deshuba. And the monks of Deshuba believe that God is in the heavens, like literally in space. So they've spent their entire life basically looking through a giant telescope
700
up in the
years, I think they've
mountains.
said they've been
700
around.
years, correct.
Yeah.
Yep. 700 years basically looking through the telescope at every inch, every quadrant that they can find of space, just to see if they can find God. And so maybe he could use the telescope to look for Bender. So that's on this side. Now back to Bender, who seems to be, he's like flying through space or whatever. He's getting sick of, having these followers or whatever because they keep demanding, or at least Malachi keeps demanding stuff of him. But Malachi tells him like the non-believers, right, the infidels, as he refers to them, are sick of Bender. They don't believe in him anymore because he's not answering their prayers. But it turns out it's because they're on the backside of Bender, which he can't. Apparently, he can't hear
He
anything
didn't
from that
know.
side.
Yeah, he didn't
He didn't
know.
know. So this whole area has been under the impression that Bender actually doesn't exist because their prayers are never answered, only the front. So Malachi, who is from the front, demands that Bender try and smite them, destroy them, because they're non-believers. And Bender says no. He refuses because every time he gets involved, he just makes everything worse. And that is his word. Nothing else is going to happen. And that's his decision. So we cut back to Fry, and he's making preparations to go to the monastery. And because Leela sees that this is idiotic and whatever, she decides to go and, go with him because obviously they need Leela in the episode. So Leela will go with Fry, and they get
she ends up going like, I'm
yeah,
afraid my friends are gonna die, so I have to help them because she's
exactly.
apparently like, like
She's the
number
motherly
one
figure
hit
kind of thing.
girl kind of thing. I can
Yeah.
do anything because she trained.
She did train, but she also, she is the voice of reason, but at the end she doesn't all she also is afraid of being alone, so she wants to go with him, right? But I do like when he goes to this preparation store or whatever, and he's like, okay, I need a coat, and then I need a mule, and the guy has like both things, and he has to use a hook to bring it down, and a what do they call the Sherpa?
A Sherpa, yeah.
It turns out the Sherpa is also on the wall,
but he accidentally stabs him off screen.
Yeah.
Ow!
So that's a pretty funny scene, actually. I like that.
Yeah.
So Bender's society, we're back to Bender, obviously, and he's looking at them, and unfortunately, planes. So now we've gone into the World War II like conflict, all these nations era of like world war. And Bender's society, the two sides, the infidels, non-believers, and the believers, are now in mutually assured destruction on him. And they've both committed to designing nuclear bombs and nuclear missiles that are sent off at the same time, and everyone dies. Blows up whole thing, and Bender is left alone. He has failed at being God. And that's it. That's unfortunate. So they won't remember him, as I was alluding to earlier, because they're gone.
They won't.
So we cut back to Fry and Leela, and they reach the monastery. And as they enter, the monks welcome them in, and everything is set up to do so. Bender drifts through space, and as he does, he finds that a galaxy is kind of speaking in binary, or at least he notices the binary. But then it turns out it can also speak all languages, right? And so,
do you speak English? And then he's like, I do now.
I do now. Yep. So he pulls him in. This is Billy West. I'm just going to keep guessing Billy West.
This is Billy West. It says God entity. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's got Fry, Farnsworth, Zoidberg, God entity, and then additional voices. So he's probably one of the little munchkins, or sorry, pumpkins. What are they called again? Shrimpkins. I got there eventually.
Yeah, you did. So he pulls the God entity, as we'll call it, pulls in Bender, and they have kind of a conversation about like, are you God? It's like, I could be God. It's like, do you know what I'm thinking? I do know what you're thinking. How about if I decide to change it at the last minute? Well, then I don't know that. Like, it's so vague and useless. Like this, I think this whole commentary on this whole thing is like, God is whatever you want it to be, or not want it. And I think that's kind of what you
say that because like Bender's like, well, how do you know binary? He's like, I don't know. Well, are you a computer? Maybe.
Maybe.
God? Maybe. Well, how about that a computer satellite crashed into you, God, and then that's what you are now? He's like, probably.
That's probable. Yeah. It's like. Yeah. And he's like, how am I supposed to, and this is later, obviously, but he's like, well, how am I supposed to know based on the actions if I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing? He's like, well, right and wrong are just words. It's your actions that matter. And he's like, well, yeah,
I know. I wanted to know if what I did was right or wrong.
It's so good because it's so true for how people will react to these things, right? So it's just back and forth of this and just utter nonsense because you can never prove anything nor disprove anything, or you never have any conversation with it because it's all meaningless in the end, especially for a godlike being. So he admits, he's like, I don't know everything, but I do know everything. I may not know something, but now I will know. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, in any case, Fry and Leela reach the monastery, and as they're inside, the monks are explaining how this works. And yes, they have been around for about 700 years. But not only is it just a telescope, it's also a interplanetary transmitter or something, or like some kind of transmitter. It can send sound through space. So Fry asks to use it. They refuse. They're like, no way, that's not going to happen because this is ours, and Fry demands it. So they get into like kind of a fight. But it turns out these monks are peace loving and they don't actually fight. So Leela threatens them and forces them in the laundry. And I think this is a callback because this is what they used in Brannigan Begin Again, correct? Because he's like, throw them in the brig. We don't have a brig. Throw them in the laundry room. They always just have a laundry room, and that's what they use as like their prisons. So
I do like that. Just a happy coincidence. I'm not saying you're wrong, but like this, it's funny.
I feel like it's maybe laundry room is just the fun thing to throw people into.
Yeah, because we don't have a brig. Well, then throw them in the laundry room. Yeah, it doesn't sound as bad. Yeah, like who would be afraid of the laundry room?
Right. It's like, put him. But then Leela goes right to the laundry room as if she's remembered that situation before. So, anyways, after they refuse and everything, and Leela gets them into the laundry room, Fry starts looking for Bender. So he has a good talk with God, Bender, and he learns that God doesn't really want to do anything, or he doesn't really know everything, or whatever, just kind of super vague. And Fry spends 3 days looking for Bender. And he's spinning the little thing to control the telescope, right? It's like a little, what do you call those? It's like a little ball mouse or something, right? Like you can just spin it. Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. All I know is that the original arcade games, that the golf ones or the bowling ones, it was that thing.
Right. They have like that
Yeah.
little ball thing,
Yeah.
right?
Like,
Or armadillo roll.
yeah, the old
Yeah.
the old mouses for computers, they had those original before they were
Nice.
laser. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a roller ball. I would call it some kind of roller ball.
Yeah. Okay. So it's something that can kind of control it. But in any case, it's made so it can turn any angle at any degree for the telescope, so they can hit every single inch of the universe that they can visibly see.
It's a sphere.
It's a sphere, and it just spins. So anyway, Fry's been doing that for 3 days. He's been turning it, looking for Bender. He's been calling to the transmitter, looking for Bender. Just nothing. So
Yeah,
Leela says,
hear,
"One,
is it
there's
Lur?
one
I think we
monster."
hear Lur.
It
I
does
think
sound like Lur. It does sound like Lur, but it doesn't confirm that it's Lur. But it is definitely.
It says Maurice LaMarche plays Malachi, Space Pirate, Monk #1, and Lur. So we'll say.
Oh, that must be Lur. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Stop calling.
Yes, it's Omicron Persei 8. He's like, no, stop calling me. Yeah. So, in any case, he looks for him, and Leela convinces him, like, oh, maybe it's no use. You're never going to find him. You'll spend your whole life looking for him, or whatever. So, they get up and they leave. And right before he does so, Fry says, I wish I could find Bender one more time. And he spins the ball, coincidentally, huge coincidence, landing on the particular galaxy that the God entity is part of. So the transmission that he had said about wanting to find Bender, because God has been talking with Bender, directs him. Oh, and that was another thing as well, because Bender says, like, oh, can you send me home? And the God entity doesn't know where Earth is. So it was another thing. So which direction is that? And Bender doesn't know anything. So anyways, this transmission goes through space, and the God entity hears it, knows that that's where Earth is, and sends Bender back there, saying, like, remember, if you've done, what does he say? If you do everything right, or if you do something right, people are never sure you've done anything at all. And that's kind of the point of God. So he sends Bender flying, puts a little parachute on him. I like that. It throws him all the way to Earth. And within the time span, again, suspension of disbelief, whatever, portals, wormholes, whatever, Bender makes it at the time that Fry and Leela are leaving the monastery and just make it around the corner for Bender to land right in front of them on this particular portion of the Himalayan mountains. So
I do love this though. Like God grabs him with like I don't know what to call it, cosmic tentacles or something else.
Cosmic power. Yeah,
cosmic power tentacles or whatever. Puts a parachute on him, which is also flame retardant, right? Like flame retardant as he's throwing him, because when Bender enters Earth's atmosphere, he starts to burn up, right? It turns red hot. But so does the parachute, so it doesn't burn up.
Nope, it's a completely ridiculous godlike parachute, and that's all it is.
I would love that the professor would examine this and go, "My God, there is a God," or something like that. Yeah. Oh wait, no, this is just a regular parachute, or something like that.
This is no regular parachute.
Yeah.
So, Bender lands in front. They're all happy. They're both happy to see him, both Fry and Leela, and so they're talking about, like, my God, like, what happened to you? It's so crazy. And even Leela does admit, like, this is probably the craziest thing out of all the things that they've ever done. This has got to be the craziest thing. And Bender says, yeah, first I was God, and then I met God, and then I love Fry's line about, like, yeah, we climbed a mountain and beat up some monks, as if like they have some really fun stories to tell.
And then Leela remembers, oh right, the monks, we need to get them out. And then Fry's like, do we have to? And then I love Bender here because he learned a lesson from God. Like, nah, God's not gonna get them out. We got to do that ourselves. Come on, let's get them out.
You can't rely on God for jack, so you have to do things yourself. And then, as they go, because they're going to follow Bender to go release the monks, we cut back up to see the God entity kind of chuckling to himself, saying, like, and he repeats himself, if you've done it right. I have the quote, Oh, there, go for it.
When you do things right, people won't sure you've done anything at all.
Right. And so
you were really close. You were really close.
Well, it's left ambiguous then to say he himself knew what was going to happen to the monks had he not sent Bender. So telling Bender this made him think that, oh, God's not going to do anything, therefore rescuing the monks. So God worked in mysterious ways. And this is, I think, what it's alluding to. But in any case,
I saw a picture on Twitter that kind of confirms this in a way. Like there's two people stranded on an island kind of thing. There's one guy praying to God, please get us off this island, and then there's a guy who isn't praying to God and building a raft. And everyone's like, well, that guy's smart. It's like, well, he prayed to God and it worked. So he's building a raft to get them off. So
works in mysterious ways.
Yeah. And I do that because like when you think people weren't sure you've done anything at all. That's how I work. That's how I don't do anything. And then when things get done, it's like, did you do this? Yeah.
Maybe I did. Oh. Maybe I didn't.
Yeah.
So in any case, that is Godfellas. So yeah. Overall, your thoughts of this episode. What do you think?
I think we've broken it down that there's just so many weird little like plot hole devices. Yeah. But the thing, I don't think we've ever done it that much before with another episode. So I think we have some problems with this episode, but it had nothing to do with the actual story. It's just like little like inconveniences and stuff like that.
I feel like it's one of the Comedy Central ones. It's the one like the Assy Come Home thing. It's another Bender one, right?
Yeah.
But like Bender's on like this soul searching thing, and like the episode in itself is fine, but like all the
is that the free will one?
The free will one, right?
That's not Assy. That's a different one.
Oh, sorry. Free will hunting. Sorry, you're right. Yeah, free will hunting is the one. Yeah, and he's going on this soul searching adventure. And he's going through all these things. That actually is
pretty clever because like robots are robots. They aren't designed to believe in religion. Of course, Futurama
they have robotology and
but also the free will thing too. That's pretty clever. Like it's a thing that's discussed by lots of people in the world about us and stuff like that. Do we have free will? Do we not? Are we predetermined to do stuff? I think we do have free will.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, put it this way, right? If you don't have free will, then the opposite of that is determinism, which of course is also known as fate. And so if you have fate, then everything you do is already designed to happen. And therefore, if you do anything, what's the point of anything? And so a lot of people find that very depressing. So they want to have the free will, right?
But I always like to put it down like free will is like you're at the fork of the road. You think you have two choices. You don't. You have multiple choices. You can stay there and ponder this till you die. You can turn back. You can take left. You can take right. You can go off the road. There's a bear chasing you. You don't know. Yeah.
Right. You always have a choice, though, right? That's the idea of free will.
That's one of the things that people say, like, why is there good and bad too? People make decisions in life.
Right.
But it's a very good episode about that kind of thing.
Well, and that's the thing with this episode as well, is like the concept, like, what does God mean? What does God mean to be God, to do all these things? And we kind of see that. But the way that the episode is actually constructed is kind of silly for how they get there, right? Like it could have been Bender was accidentally shot out of a tube, unbeknownst to anybody else. Like maybe he's the one that did it, and then all these things happen. Like we didn't need the pirate fight. We didn't need like the whole thing with like him like, oh, I got to slow myself down with the swag and everything. Like you don't need that. But
no,
it's
not
just
really.
Kind of the funny little gimmick of the episode, right? And another way to have space pirates, I guess. Maybe they're like, oh, we should have space pirates, and they just toss them in. So
it's a bunch of fun little wacky ideas put together with
a
very
hard concept. With a very interesting concept to think about.
It was being held together with like loose gum and paper clips kind of thing. It worked, but it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, like I still enjoy watching the episode because it does have a lot of fun things and a lot of funny jokes in it. But yes, there's a lot of these little questions we keep bringing up. Like, how does Bender slow himself down? Shouldn't he have slowed down with this? How is he doing? Oh, another one was like because he has like that small piano in his chest and he's like just kind of talking. But like, there's no sound in space. But again, that could also be thrown around like maybe it's just in his head. We're just hearing it because
he resonates it because it's vibration and vibration through metal is a lot easier to pick up than through nothing.
Or maybe it's just plugged into him somewhere and he's just
it's electric. Yeah, it's electric. Piano.
Like who knows? And like where's that power? It doesn't matter. But that's
through the microbrew, Anthony. Through the microbrew.
The microbrew
which was after that, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I don't think they have ever really said how long Bender lasts off of one beer. Like there's no power thing. He powers up.
In the episode with the penguins, when he goes flying with Zoidberg or whatever, I think it's only been like a day, and he purposely stops drinking, and that's when he starts going lower.
And he has a 5 o'clock rust.
Yeah. Right. So I think that must be at most 2 days, I would say. Like he was flying around because he was depressed that Fry left, right? So I'd say that no longer than that, but that's all it would take.
It's speculation, right? But I'm pretty sure we could look at other examples too, because there was another one where he. Oh, geez. The thing that the Simpsons and the Futurama writers, they're always walking down looking drunk, and there's all those signs that pass by saying something.
Yeah. That's a callback to something. Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, right. And he's like going around. He's like, oh, yeah, booze, this, and like this. Yeah.
Again, I don't think we've ever really like tried to dissect an episode like this, kind of for like, why does this happen? It shouldn't happen that way, should it? I don't know.
Well, it's because I think there's so much science in this one, or theoretical science in there. Actually, it's both science and religion is kind of really thrown in here, right? Because he's floating through space and he has all the reasons they can't catch him is because of a physics thing. But then he has like life land on him, and then he becomes God. But he himself is a robot, which is a scientific. Like it's a beauty. It's really well done.
What's the word? Counterproductive? No, that's not quite right. No. But forcing opposing forces kind of are meeting each other in this episode quite a lot. And it's funny.
It's a nice amalgamation. Amalgamation church is an amalgamation of ideas that are nicely compressed together.
So this is just a really clever episode, but it's so clever that it's nonsense.
But it has dumb scenes.
Okay,
very clever, but it has dumb scenes. So it kind of takes away from like it wasn't as perfect as it could have been, we'll say. But overall, not a bad episode. It's just if you're a science person or a religious person, you're gonna find faults in this, and that's just what happens. If you're somebody in between, or if you're like not really caring about it, you just want to watch a fun episode of it, and you just enjoy these kinds of conversations, you'd like the episode. Absolutely,
it is funny. It's a funny episode. I love the shrimpkins.
Shrimpkins are funny.
Malachi Jr. just like his one characteristic, that he just loves to hug things. And then when he got swept up in the river, he's like, he grabbed a branch. He's like, I can't hold on. I'm so tired from hugging. It's pretty good.
Yes. MVP and your favorite scenes and jokes and everything. I think my favorite line or joke or whatever is just like when Bender returns and he says like, "Hey guys, I was God and I saw God," and then Fry like, "Yeah, we climbed a mountain and beat up some monks." I think that was one of my favorite lines. Yeah. Although I also do like the lines with the monks. Those guys are pretty funny. Yeah. What about you?
I don't know, but I will say this. I was looking at the Wikipedia page of this. In 2008, Empire, I don't know, media
magazine
or whatever.
Magazine.
They placed Futurama 25th on their list of the 50 greatest. This episode in particular, it was 25th ranking out of 50, the greatest TV shows of all time, and they cited this episode. So
there you go.
That's 2008, so that was after this. This Fox run.
Years after this episode.
I don't know if I would say it's the best Futurama episode, but it's very funny, and we've dissected it quite a lot, and it kind of it's science versus religion versus science. Well, they both work, they both don't work. It's funny.
For the smart intellectuals, for the intellectuals who want to sit down and like debate this kind of stuff, this is an episode to do that. It's similar to the idea of All the Way Down, the Hulu finale for season whatever the first Hulu revival, those first 10 episodes, that last episode, that's another
season
one,
9 or 13
season quote unquote whatever, the part 1 of the Hulu revival, whatever you want to call it, the finale of that one, which is All the Way Down, where maybe it was Bender, maybe it wasn't Bender, maybe we're in a simulation, maybe we're not. That one is an interesting episode of science fiction.
I didn't like that episode.
I didn't either, but a lot of people love it because it makes you talk, it makes you think. But that's not what Futurama is. This is still Futurama with the elements of those things talking about it, because it's not. It's something that it still happens. It still happens in the show. All the Way Down means nothing to the rest of the show. This one at least. Ken Keeler. Well, we see, and we even see the God Entity again. The God Entity returns in other episodes of Futurama too.
I think just one, according to this. I could be wrong. Reincarnation is the first revival.
Of what?
Of the Central, Comedy Central. Yeah, we see him in that, because it's the like
God Entity, right?
Yeah, we see him like, hey, it's Futurama fans, like 3, 2, 1.
I see. Gotcha. Yeah. But point is, we still have him referenced, right? But we'll.
I think we also do see him
again. So
we also see him in the first movie as well, when they do the 100100111101, because he throws a time bubble at them.
That's right. Yeah. There you go. So that's at least 3 times. There you go. Times. So he is referenced. Yeah. It actually makes sense for him to be part of the series, right? And this episode is still continuity, or still has continuity. All the Way Down doesn't matter. That could be at any point, because it's a simulation. It's all a simulation. Yeah. So, anyways. Digress. Your favorite joke or scene?
Geez. I don't know. There's just so many, like, there was no big one big one, I would say. There's lots of little ones and stuff like that. Like, for some reason, I don't know why, I find the Malachi Jr. hugging things funny. because it's just such a sweet, simple little boy just wanting to hug his dad when dad
so
gets
dumb.
back from work, and
dumb.
I'm
Yeah.
hugging God as
Right.
nuclear bomb
Nuclear bombs, right?
Maybe
thing.
God will save. I do like that one because we're like right outside their house kind of thing, but we still see Bender's big head out in the back, and you see his eyes follow all the bombs,
Yeah,
and you see him
can
look up
one
and then
coming down, yeah.
slowly looking
Yeah.
looking down at the bomb as Malachi Jr. says that.
It's a very well made episode, honestly. It just has some really weird, questionable science. But any case, yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, because I was watching that too. I'm like, oh yeah, Bender's like telling you like where everything is going and seeing everything explode in front of him. Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it's lots of little stuff. There's not like one big joke that are like, that's my favorite joke. I like the three big ones and stuff like that. So I'll go with the Bender watching the bomb fall as Malachi and his family are having a conversation. But I also do like the pirate going, "Arr, too late do I realize it was me family that was the true
my
treasure."
real treasures. Yeah,
my real
right.
treasure. Yeah. Or like
What about
what you said too there with like Leela. Leela had a phrase when she's like, "I've never met holy men that I couldn't beat the crap out of," or something like that.
And they start like they're about to fight. It's like actually we're very passive and we only practice meditation for meditation. Or sorry, we only practice martial arts for meditation. And she's like, oh, get in the laundry room.
Okay. And then I think the other one I like too is like, we cooked our shoes in the dryer. We're finished. We're hungry. Or something along the lines of that. Now we're bored.
Yeah, and then Fry is like, oh, I'm sure they'll be let out by their god, or at least give them new shoes to eat or something. So yeah,
like I said, there's lots of little stuff, but
Yeah.
I think the Malachi Jr. has a lot of the little stuff, so I'll vote for him as my favorite jokes. Now for MVP.
MVP, yeah. Is it Bender?
It's probably gonna be Bender, just because he learned a lesson actually, and like he doesn't really ever learn it, but just like nah, we gotta go help these ones because God doesn't do crap or something like that.
That's right. Yeah, he does save them.
I was like, yes.
I was gonna say actually as well because Bender, my MVP is Bender as well, but majority of this episode is Bender, obviously. Like it's like Fry and Leela. Fry is probably the second central point of the episode, but he doesn't do enough to really.
No, I would say Malachi would be the second one, just more screen time or whatever. But
you think Malachi has more screen time than Fry?
I think so, but like for purposes of the story, Fry is second because he's looking for his friend, and Malachi's just there.
He's the B plot. I'm pretty sure Fry's in it longer, but we'll time it and we'll see.
Yeah, we should.
We should. That'd be funny. But yeah, great. Are there any other things you want to add about Godfellas?
No, I am happy that we get to see the God entity again 3 times. I think I said like once here, the first episode, the first movie, and then the first episode of the revival. I think that's it, right? We don't see him in that coffee episode.
No, as far as I don't think he shows up in the Hulu time. Yeah. So no, in everything I think he's probably the most. Those are the episodes that he's mostly featured in. So and they're very small scenes. But yeah. But no, I agree, and I like the God entity when they shows up as well because it's small little cameo or something. But all right, well in that case, I guess we'll finish off there. So thank you, Mitchell, for joining me, and as well,
no problem.
We may, not sure yet, I'm still deciding, but we may have one of our special guest stars joining us for next week. We'll have to see if he can make it. If not, that's okay. But if he can, awesome.
What's the next episode called again?
Episode 9, season 4, Future Stock. Stock. So we'll hopefully right. So we'll be seeing people for that one, and have yourself a great rest of your day, Mitchell.
I'll try. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.